The following Parkinson's Path podcast is provided by Lianna Marie with All About Parkinson's and Answers for Elders Radio.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network with the wonderful Lianna Marie from allaboutparkinsons.com. And Lianna and I have spent the first 3 episodes talking about really the process of, coping and dealing with Parkinson's disease. And it's all coming from her book, upcoming book, I should say, The Parkinson's Path. And we're excited about when that comes out and all that. But this is the last segment in this series. And I am really interested in this title. And we kind of started it off without even realizing it. It was just naturally flowing. It's nice. But Lianna, you call it Standing Strong with Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think a lot of people, I don't want to say it's funny, but, as my mom got further into Parkinson's, 30 years is a long time for anything.
It is a very long time.
It's, I think about the standing part, she may not have been standing a lot at the very end there, but inside she was standing strong, I would say. And physically, we see a body that's changing over those years, right? Getting weaker and weaker. Unfortunately, over time, that can happen with Parkinson's people, but internally, emotionally, trying to hold on to that inner strength that made her feel, like we talked about before, empowered,
right?
And that kind of thing. And I think one of I love quotes. I'm going to give another quote in this episode. Is it's attributed to Bob Marley. You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. And I think for many people, I posted that once on All About Parkinson's Facebook page, and it really resonated with a lot of people because when you're thrown into whatever it is, in this case, it's the Parkinson's, the big Parkinson's world. When you're pushed into that pool, if you will, you have to learn how to swim pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. As a Parkinson's person or a person who's caring for someone with Parkinson's, there's a lot to navigate. And, strength is something that my mom, I will say, I will give her lots of props. Her inner strength, she, we get tested over and over again. And each time she became stronger and stronger, more resilient. I would say, not to say there weren't, it was a jagged line all the way up as she grew in strength, 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, that kind of thing. But overall, I will say, again, in hindsight, I would see my mom's ability to withstand bigger and bigger challenges because she had to. She had to, so she did. And the same for us. We had to, so we did. And it sounds pretty simple, but it really was. I'm making it sound simple. It wasn't at the time. But I believe that, the strength, that physical, losing her physical strength, but gaining her emotional strength over time is what helped her stay as long as she did on this planet, with Parkinson's.
It's interesting that you're talking about that because I think about when my mom and I first came together for me to care for her. She was angry because she didn't want to be, incapacitated, right? And she realized that she needed more care. I was in a situation where I was in I was in my own career. It was partly an inconvenience for me, even though I didn't ever want to admit that, but it was a disruption in my life too. I mean, we both were disrupted. And I think one of the things that happened is, we were very lucky, and I'm very glad we did this. We met with a therapist, the 2 of us, and she came to my mom's assisted living, and we had the conversations early on. And here's the thing that she said to me, Lianna, which was really interesting. She said, I kept saying, you're so mean to me and you're nasty and you're saying all these horrible things. And she's like, finally it came down to it. And the reason is that she didn't want to, she was pushing me away because she didn't want to disrupt my life, because she was picking that up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other hand, I was picking up her anger. It was angry at the situation, not towards me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So what I said to her is, I said, Mom, I go, do you realize what a gift you being with me is? And I said to her, I go, never in my life have I had you all to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. I said, this is a gift for both of us. And, the thing that happened when I remember, Lianna, that defining moment between my mother and I, when we realized that we can be a team here. And it's just all the animosity went away. It was like this amazing thing. And from there forward, we just had this rhythm between the two of us. Yeah. We developed a relationship and became a team. And I think that's really the key in all this, is understanding, like, where do things come from? Not to take things personally sometimes when things happen. And I think the other thing is to understand that, there are going to be moments, but you become a team, you work together, and that helps you hold on to each other to be strong.
And be stronger. Yeah. Like two, when you tie, one string versus two strings.
Correct.
Together, right. Wound together. And I think, setting yourself up for success versus failure obviously is a plan too, and I think for my mom, we talked about surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, not people that are going to tear you down. But I want to touch on too, something that was just something for me. Like, I think it was for both of us, honestly. I talk about this a lot in our care talks, is the power of music, just as it may not seem like a really thing that would induce strength, but if you think about like motivational music or whatever, and we talk about fight songs, right? So one of the things I talk about when I'm writing the book, when I was writing the book, I was like, what gets me going? What, because my mom, it would totally work. Like, you put that in, the in your ears, you put the earphones on, and she had her like, I'm getting up and going, and I had, fast forward 10 years, 15 years, when I was then going in to visit her in long-term care. And sometimes it wasn't a very happy situation going in there.
No.
And I would like, kind of like my athletic mind gets going, and I go, I got to get my pump up music on. So I put my earphones on, and I'd be like, or in my car, and I turn up the music, and I had these songs like that I would go to. I smile because at that time it was everything. It was all I could do. I was like, I don't know what else to do here. I need to pump myself up. Nobody else is going to help me do this. And so I had my fight song, and it rotated and now I have like my inspired playlist or whatever. But I really think it's something to consider for people who find music to work for them. But it's something that you just need that click to get going, to get that that momentum piece to get going, to face whatever it is that you need to be that inner strength for. So yeah, that's just something that I just wanted to remember to say. And also my mom, faith, a lot of people recognize that about my mom, that she just had an inner strength that she found from her beliefs, system, not just system, but her personal relationship that she had with God. And then I think that for her was a really big, defining thing for her.
Well, and I think I'm going to add one more thing to this, if you don't mind. And that
go ahead.
is, I always tell care partners, and I think we can also include that for those that suffer from chronic disease and pain, is look for the diamonds.
Right.
Look for the little the things that you're grateful for. Yeah. And I really believe that there are miracles and things to be grateful for in every moment of our lives, no matter how hard it is. It's what we focus on. And you mentioned it earlier about, the hitting the bullseye, right? Yeah. Focus on the 5 rather than, going on the, and so the whole point is that making sure that you train your brain to look for the good, to stay positive about things, even though when it's hard, it might mean you might not even be able to think of anything that happened, then make something up at that point. I mean, like
I say, if
Tony Robbins says, fake it till you make it, right?
If I'm still alive, and I know like we could talk about that in another episode, but honestly, it's like, I'm here, here, right? I am here. And, I always say there's always somebody worse off than me. I hate to say it, but unless you're dead, I
learned something today. I learned something about myself.
Yeah.
I learned the fact that, I learned to set a boundary.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that you can be grateful for because you grew as an individual. Even those hard days are part of,
it's part of the process.
And that's polishing your character.
Exactly,
it's like my aunt would say, you're a rough diamond when you come into this world. And all of these experiences, in life are created by our pressure points in your life. And that helps mold your character. And that's the whole point she would say to me. It's like, these are all opportunities for you to shine brighter in the world. And I think that applies a lot to those that are caring for others. And also, as you're going through, your own process, if you have chronic illness, you have the ability to still be a contributing person in the world. Absolutely. You do have purpose. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we can always recognize.
For sure. And and not to play, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. We want to just keep saying that, there's that cliche, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, but it really is over time, just like muscles that are trained, your strength, your inner strength, you do need to train that. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So don't give up on that, because this is just a moment. If you're in that moment of grief or sadness or, feeling despair, it is this moment, and we will get through it.
And Lianna, I am so grateful for you to being on the show this month, and we look forward to hearing from you next month, and love your topics. And until next week, for all of you who are listening, be good to each other.
The preceding Parkinson's Path podcast is provided by Lianna Marie with All About Parkinson's and Answers for Elders Radio. To learn more about Lianna's story, her books, The Parkinson's Wall of Honor, and more, go to allaboutparkinsons.com.